Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you. Featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Today I'm very fortunate to have Amy Coello on my show. She's a dreamer, an author, a speaker, and the wife of Robert Coello and the mother of 11 children. Amy is a respected teacher, successful business owner with 20 years experience in the legal field. She's a dynamic speaker and storyteller, and she's the author, television host, and ministry leader in her community. I want to welcome to the Susan Brender Show, Amy Coello. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Susan.
You know, Amy, 11 children in this day and
we
age.
do. Yes.
I mean,
you know, people say all the time, and it's, you know, we're just one generation. You know, people tell me all the time, oh my gosh, that's, you know, I can't believe you have that many children, but we're really just one generation from having large families.
So what, I guess you love to raise families, big families, but what really inspired you to have 11 children? You know, I guess it's very expensive to support that many.
Well, we had, I actually had a daughter who passed away in 2002, and it changed my, you know, I was working at Cochran firm, Johnny Cochran's law firm, and senior paralegal, and I was climbing the corporate ladder. And that's all I thought about was climbing that corporate ladder. Like many people do, you just, you know, that you think that's the pinnacle of your success. And after my fourth child died, really just opened my eyes. And, you know, things changed in my life at that point, and things that were I thought were important to me no longer were important. And I came home, started to raise my family, and we had left for Honduras, so of course it was a lot cheaper in Honduras. I owned a marketing firm in Honduras, and we pastored a church there and a mission group, and so it was, of course, a lot cheaper, and we were there for several years, and we came back. And, you know, here's the thing. Here's what I found out.
What's that?
Life just works, and finances are there. Finances are always there unless you have a block to finances. So it hasn't been, you know, they have all the gadgets that everybody else has. They have all the, you know, we raise our children with a little bit of a different view on clothing, material items, you know, so they're just very grateful for the things that they do have because they know that it didn't come easy.
Yeah. Now, that's a very interesting point. You're saying that we live in a very materialistic society, one which, you know, really encourages people to buy all kinds of things that they don't really need. And somehow you understand that. And with that in mind, it's okay to have all the children because that's what really turns you on. That really is the thing that kind of inspires you to lead a very wonderful life. So what I want to know is, are the children and your husband helping you to do all the things that you do? Because, wow, I mean, look at how many hours are there in a day? And you sound like you're a very, very busy person.
Yes. Well, I am, and, you know, the old adage that busy people are the best people to hand projects to because they're just going to get it done is absolutely true, and I've found that with my staff, that we love to have busy people on our staff because we just know that things are going to get done. And we are actually in a place right now where we are raising funds to buy an RV so that we can travel to the United States and cast the vision of our new website launch for eyes2see.org. And they are coming with us, of course. They will be, you know, we go in and we feed the homeless in every city that we will be going into. We work with a homeless ministry out of New Orleans, where we go in and we teach our children how to feed people who are less fortunate. And they do help us in work, and my son is in broadcasting, so I do film a lot, so he helps me with all my bumpers and my editing and stuff. And my daughter plays guitar. My husband travels with me and opens up. He's a musician, and so she also has that interest. And so they do. I have one married, you know, the three of them are out of the house now, so they travel along with us, and we just raise them, and it is not as busy. I tell people all the time, the busiest you'll ever be with your family are when you have 3 kids. But when you've got as many as we do, I never have to clean house. I don't do the laundry. I can't tell you the last time I did laundry. Mm-hmm. My husband's an executive chef, so I don't cook. So,
right.
It's divvied up. That's what, it's like having a great staff, huh?
Yeah, boy, would I like that. So, Okay, let's get into something that you just mentioned, and that's eyes2see.org organization. Can you tell me more about the launch of that organization? And let me repeat it. It's called eyes2see.org.
Right, and that's the number 2 and the letter C. We are very, very excited about Eyes to See. We launched in April 12th. This came as an idea. I have been teaching and traveling on dream interpretation for well over a decade. When I left the firm, just kind of, thought about what my passion was, and from a little girl, I was a dreamer, and I started having, after my daughter died in 2002, I started having dreams that I knew meant something, and it just set me on this path of trying to figure out who I am, what I am, and where am I going. And December of in 2015, our founder, Jeff Odell, we've known each other for years. He had an idea that said, basically, the principle is this: if we believe God, this creator, this divine light, this, whatever you call it, every culture and every religion has their own belief that something outside of themselves is pulling us on a path of destiny. Mm-hmm. And if God or this divine light is speaking to you individually, what must this divine light be saying to us collectively? So we put together a theory, and we launched out April 12th with our spiritual journal. And what a spiritual journal is you can house every spiritual experience that you have. Have you ever woken up and there be shadowy people in your room? Mm-hmm. This is where you put it. Have you ever woken up and there was an angel in your room? This is where you put it. Have you ever had this weird dream? Mm-hmm. This is where you put it. And we collect those spiritual experiences because we have spoken with data scientists and data analysts, and Jeff Odell comes to us from big data. Mm-hmm. So he, in the corporate world and Fortune 100 companies, and he manages data analysts and tech. He's a tech guy. So we created these algorithms, or at this point we are creating algorithms to be able to find tinderboxes and spikes and patterns and dreams. We actually micro-proved our theory, unfortunately, with the Dallas shooting and the Orlando shooting, right, and also with Justice Scalia, the Supreme Court Justice, dying. Yes. And we had dreams that popped up in our system that said there was going to be a shooting in Dallas, and that there was going to be. Now, what I like to call, what we're doing is we're wrapping data around smoke. So, because dreams are parabolic and they have to be interpreted, we have an amazing team that I've worked with for years. We have a Facebook group where we have been proving our theory out for many years. It's called Prophetic Dreams, Symbols, and Interpretation, and we have 43,000 members from all walks of life, from every religion, from every country. And it is amazing, and just we wanted to see what people were saying and thinking and dreaming before we did this. And so our team interprets dreams. They've been trained by some of the best teachers in the world. We are a little bit different, is that we don't believe in the Carl Jungian and the Freudian theories, and so that's more of a psychological interpretation versus a spiritual interpretation.
Let me stop you there, Amy. You mentioned a lot of different words, parabolic language of heaven, and how the Creator speaks through symbols. Now, let's define the word parabolic for our audience, because it's a word that may not be something that people ever heard of.
Yeah, so it's more metaphorical. So we know that we call it the parabolic language of heaven. and it's a veiled communication. It's a veiled message. It's a veiled language. And we see it if you are if you study the Bible or any of the Quran or any of the philosophical understanding, you see that in every walk of life, in every religion, in every culture, there is a parabolic message. They speak in parables. Let's go with Jesus. As you watch Jesus walk through the Bible in the New Testament, you see when he speaks through a parabolic message. He talks about a fig tree and says, "You are like the fig tree," and stuff like that. So we understand that there's a divine communication, and it is for eyes to see and ears to hear.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's again discuss a little bit more about this dream interpretation. So take us through an experience. So do you have a story for us where somebody came to you and told you about a particular dream? You don't have to mention names, but tell us what happened and how it affected that person and how it affected you. So let's hear a story about that.
Okay. Well, I've got hundreds. We've been doing this. I do a show on kingdomflame.com where we travel around and we do these shows, and we basically just pull people out of the audience and we ask them to raise their hand. Have you ever had a dream and didn't know what it meant? And they raise their hand and we pull them up on stage and we walk through it. And so I've got, many, but I'll give you mine. Mm-hmm. And after my daughter had died, I was terrified that I felt like, as I prayed through things, I thought, oh my gosh, this God let my daughter die, and now he's going to kill all my kids. I just had this fear, and it just really disturbed me, and I didn't know what to think, and I didn't know, I was just scared, and as I, pondered and meditated, I just thought, I don't want to be fearful of my kids dying, and I was scared. If you ever lose a child, you immediately go into, trying to fix that pain, and of course I wanted to have another baby, but I was afraid, and I went to sleep that night and had a dream, and it was a newspaper, and it was floating in the air, and it had the word Genoa on it, and it was just a newspaper floating in the air, and it had a headline. And I woke up and I thought, Genoa, what? I've never heard the word. I've never seen it before. And I didn't know where do you go to find this word? So, of course, go to Google. Mm-hmm. And Genoa actually means, it is a Hebrew word for will be allowed to remain. And it just impacted my life. For the first time in my life, I thought, I knew in my knower, everyone has a knower, and I knew in my knower that this great big God was speaking directly to my pain.
Okay, wait, stop before you continue, because I want to have you define the word Noah.
Yeah, knower is like this intuitive understanding that every one of us were built with. It's like that gut check, the intuitive, I call it my knower. I just know in my knower, and it's that feeling you get when you're around somebody. You feel energy from people, vibrations, you just, somebody could be saying something but meaning something else, and you and your knower know what they mean, but it's not what they're saying.
Okay. All right. That kind of indicates what, or gives you the good definition of that. So continue your story, if you will.
Yeah, so we had, it just, when I realized this, and then I started paying attention. So then my husband has a dream. He's working at this job, and, he's going through some really hard times at his work. They can't put, he can't put his finger on it. He's just like, this, this guy is really after me, and he's very jealous of me, and I feel like he's trying to take me out, but I don't know if it's me or him, and if I should change anything. Well, anyway, he goes to bed that night, he has a dream, and he's on the school bus. And he's on the school bus, and the guy driving the school bus is a clown. Mm. So he wakes up, and I thought, okay, school bus, this is a teaching, the company that he works with, it's a teaching organization. And they travel around and teach. And the guy that he was dealing with, I said to him, I think that this dream is trying to tell you is that the guy in charge, the guy driving things, is a clown. And in the dream, he knew he needed to get off the bus.
Oh. And
I said, I just think that you got to go. And it was confirmation, and it was the right thing, and it was It happened well. You know, I think sometimes maybe the dream may tell you you have to stay because it's a life lesson that you've got to learn. But in this dream, it told him that he had to go. And so recently I pulled someone on stage, and he gave us the dream that he had. It was a very long dream. In fact, it was 7 pages. When I pulled him up out of the audience, I was like, oh, he's bringing a journal. We're in trouble.
Wow.
So it was a 7-page dream, but I walked through it with him, and the whole dream laid out his life and was talking about it, his relationship with his sister. It revealed things with his sister. It revealed things with his father. It revealed things with his mother. It even revealed that he had been sexually molested as a child, and these things were happening because of this issue in his life, and that at the very end, this white poodle climbs up in the father's lap, and at the very end of the dream, it had everything to do that this great big guy who created this great big world cares about him individually, and was telling him that there's going to be restoration in this family, that he had to only believe for it.
Yeah.
And we tell him, too, we say, this not is just a dream. Now your responsibility to that dream is to go and ponder on that dream. And you know, the law of attraction says that the things that I focus on, I make room for. So if you're constantly thinking, my family is in disarray, well, guess what? Your family's going to be in disarray. It's the law of observation. But if you say, well, I was given a promise, and there's restoration for my family, there's restoration for my job, there's restoration in my finances, there's restoration in my emotional well-being, and you begin to ponder on that promise, and now you've got a dream that you can actually visualize, well, then what happens is it comes about. We bring it about.
So what I hear you saying is that people think about their glass half full rather than the glass half empty.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you think that way, you can always have a positive attitude. Is that true?
Right. That's so right. You know, before my daughter, you know, every one of us have a access point, you know, like an access. It's like our moment in life, our defining moment. Well, my daughter, burying my child was a very defining moment for me. And so before that, you know, weird things, you know, like I drank Dr. Pepper for years before that. The day my daughter died, I never drank another one. It's just these weird things that happen in your mind. Well, same thing with I was a glass half empty. And the moment that happened, you know, that had that dream, that my life went from climbing the corporate ladder to I need to find my purpose to now I need to help other people find their purpose.
Right. Now, this is a very interesting thing as well, find their purpose. You know, we live in a very competitive world, a very, in many cases, a very sad world because people fight each other. There's all kinds of bombings. I mean, you know, just what happened in Orlando and various other places around the States. I mean, how does somebody who sees all this horrible things around them, how do they have a positive attitude, and why would they even consider interpreting dreams? They're trying to get through the day.
Yes, well, we do. Unfortunately, the hard part about our job right now for eyes to see, because of the theories that we're trying to prove, and we believe that we will have esoteric information that we will be able to hand the government. And unfortunately, we've got to walk through the micro-proving of these theories. And so, you know, we had a couple of dreams pop up on our system, and one of the dreams was the shooting in Dallas. And immediately, as soon as it happened, we ran to the system to see if we could find anything. And we did, if that person had that dream about the shooting in Dallas, and here's what had happened there, she was walking through a city that she'd never seen, lots of high-rise buildings. She was walking through the city, and she all of a sudden hears, shooting, they're shooting, everybody run. It's a cowboy. Dream ends, right? So in our system, we would have picked up hot words like shooting, guns, Muslim, Christian, Obama, Prime Minister. We pick up those hot words. Our system does, right? And so we look for spikes and patterns before it happens. Now, if that woman who had that dream specifically called the FBI and said, hey, I had this dream that there's a shooting and I think it's in your city, guess what? The FBI is going to profile her and hang up on her as a crazy person. But what if we had several hundred people having that dream.
Wow.
And what if we were able to hand this statistical information over to the government? Could we possibly warn? Could we possibly prevent those things from happening? Mm-hmm. We had 11 tornadoes touch down in Dallas. I think it was 12 tornadoes touch down in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Could we have prepared better for that if we had seen that happening prior?
Yeah.
So I think that's what our passion is.
You know, Amy, it's very interesting, again, that you're defining some of the ways in which we can have things go right in our society, in our world. But Amy, I feel, and I don't particularly know, but I wonder if the FBI or people in our political system, I don't think that they don't care. I think they do care. But do they really follow up on some of the information you give them? Because it really is a little out there. So that's what I want to know. And I'm sure our audience wants to know that too.
Sure, we want to know. My background is in law, and I'm a private investigator for many years. I worked in human trafficking. So I worked with the FBI many, many times. And when you show statistical proof, they will begin to collect it. It's not that they may move on it, but what if we start having this happen? And then what if we are on shows that start promoting it that says, hey, here's the statistical data? Probably we would have gone to press release if we had more than 3 dreams in our system, right? But we launched in April. We went from a theory in December to a full-on launch in April. We built a $100,000 system. We are still building. We're not done yet. We launched April 12th. We launched our dream interpretation team. We've got 30 amazing dream interpreters on staff that have been fully trained and vetted. And now we're about to head into building our algorithm and obstacles. So do I believe that the government will pay attention? I believe that they can't. They won't be able not to.
Well, that's encouraging because, it sounds like you've done your work and you have a lot of information to feed to them, which will benefit our society. Okay, let's get back to the dream situation. Now, what's the most interesting thing you've learned about your dreams? And there must be many, many things. Why don't you tell our audience about that?
Yes. I tell people this. I tell my staff this when I get off stage. I say this all the time. Because we do dreams, I have never done the same dream ever. Every single dream is like a snowflake. And it is still, after all of these years, it still trips me out that revelation flows through our dreams. It's spirit-to-spirit communication. And when I get to see the lights come on in somebody's heart, it is the most, I know that I have fulfilled my purpose in life, even if it was just one person. But I have the most beautiful opportunity to travel the world and see this all across cultures, denominations, religions, corporate America to, we are interpreting dreams for business people. They're having dreams according to the sphere of influence. I had the beautiful opportunity to interpret dreams on the staff for the country, the president, who is the guy running for president of Honduras. We have many people on our staff who we would, what we like to call being placed next to kings or those who are in authority. And being able to watch them have these dreams that change their community, change their corporate culture, to change their family dynamics, to give them hope. Our world needs hope.
Right.
And I am a hope messenger.
That's interesting. I'm a hope messenger. That's a great name, by the way. Should put it in a book. Okay, here, Amy. Now, there have been people who are very spiritual, people who are they're leaders of our society and leaders all around the world, and I'm talking about spiritual leaders. Now, is there one particular spiritual leader who has made a dent in your life?
Yes, I had the beautiful opportunity to be mentored by John Paul Jackson, and he made it was interesting because I actually had a dream with him in it. Had never seen him before in my life. I'd never known of him, and I have this dream about him. And in the dream, he gets on stage and he calls me out of a crowd and he says, "You will travel the world teaching the prophetic word of God." I didn't understand what it meant. It went through me like lightning. I bent over in the dream, and I woke up from the dream and I started searching out who this person was. And just a year later, I'm on staff with him, and so and teaching and traveling with him. And he was a world-renowned, what we would call a world-renowned leader, and governments contacted him because he came out with the word called the perfect storm, and many governmental leaders contacted him, and I think he was probably the most impacting person in my life that said basically what I do. He did that to me. He called me out and said, "Here's your destiny," and I do that for others now.
Ah, interesting. What's the difference between what you do and the people who are like Buddhists? Is there anything that you do that sort of changes the way people think as opposed to thinking of a particular religion, being religious? So I'm talking about Buddhism, I'm talking about Judaism, Catholicism, and part of this question also is, did you ever think of becoming a priest or a religious leader of any sort?
No, I didn't. I think that we are all the same. I think that we are on a journey trying to find the mystery. And we are all, I believe that when we stop and look beyond ourselves, again, I was climbing the corporate ladder. I never thought about things like this. This was so far out of my zone. And when people have that crisis moment, it may be death, it may be firing, it may be bankruptcy, it may be, your children. Everybody has that moment that they stop and they think, is there something bigger than me? And I had an encounter, and I believe that many people have an encounter, and I don't think I think the difference is what we pursue. And I pursue the teachings of Jesus Christ. And so when I say that, I look at the parables of the New Testament, and I walk through the parabolic understanding. I look through the quantum effect, the quantum understanding. Quantum mechanics calls it the chaos factor. Well, I call it the God factor. And so I think that's really what scientists is calling it. And I also believe that science and theology are rapidly closing in on each other.
Oh, that's okay. Wait a minute. Let's talk about that. So science and theology. Now, many people are agnostics. They're atheists. If you meet people like that, what do you say to them?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have to. We are on the streets in New Orleans all the time. We on Sundays we go out and we interpret dreams. We set up a booth and we interpret dreams. People think it's for fun, and then all of a sudden, they have an encounter. And the tourists will come up and they're like, "Hey, yeah, this looks like fun. I'm interpret this dream." So I have this dream. We set up booths all over. Our organization sets up booths all over the world, and even Burning Man. If you've heard of the most hedonistic group, they go out there every single year. And my job isn't to convince anybody. And so I don't, and I teach my team. We are there for those who are seeking. We are there because here's the deal. One day you're going to have that moment where you're going to look up and go, is there something more? And we want to be there to help guide you into, yes, there is, and let me show you what this divine light is trying to tell you. And so we're not there to convince. We're not there to shove our belief system down your throat. All we're there is to bring illumination.
So what sets you apart from some other religious groups? And I can list a number of groups, but I think you understand what I'm saying. People who walk and knock on your door and they say, I've got some pamphlet I want you to read. What sets you apart from them?
Well, we don't believe in tracts and we don't believe in reasoning with people. That's number one. And, our counterparts, maybe they feel like, and I've watched them. We've taken teams out. We take teams out all the time into the streets, and we go down there and we sit back and we watch those who are handing out pamphlets and trying to interrupt people's day. And it's almost like taking a shotgun. It's a shotgun effect. I'm just going to start shooting and see what I can get. But what we do is we sit back and we wait for the Spirit to tell us who's ready. And they come to us. And that's when we just know that there's a divine pull and that we don't have to go out and start getting into people's business and getting up in their grill and stuff like that. We wait for the people who are ready and who need hope. That's what we do. We just wait for the people that hope. And I think that we are all searching. I'm not saying we're better than the ones handing out pamphlets. I'm saying we're just different. And we're not better than Buddhists, and we're not better than New Agers, and we're not better than, Catholicism. We are just different. I believe that, as a Christian, Christian group, which we are absolutely believers, we walk in love, and that is our number one priority. And love is not shoving our belief system down people's throat. Love is being there when they're ready.
Love. What a wonderful word that is, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
And are we missing something in our days and our lives that don't make us feel love the way it was when we were young? Because we were pretty innocent when we were young, but as we get older and you see all these horrible things go on, it's very difficult to think about the word love. What do you say to that?
It is. Well, and love is so many different definitions. If you ask me what love is, and then you go to Westboro Church and ask them what love is, we're going to say two different things, right? And so we not everyone's childhood was so innocent, right? And so we are there when you look around and you see the absolute tragedy. Here's the deal. There's only two emotions in the world. It's love and fear. And my job is to help people, to teach people that every single time that you step outside of love, peace, joy, self-control, forbearing with one another, faithfulness, kindness, gentleness, the moment you step out of the fruit of the Spirit, you open yourself up to every evil thing. You are opening your influence up. And when you walk in love and you choose love over everything else, over being irritated because, somebody had walked in. I'm in a hotel at the Marriott in New Orleans right now, and somebody had walked in my room at 8:30 in the morning, and I had not just gotten to bed because I was speaking last night. And, I had a choice right then. Am I going to be angry and call the front desk, or am I going to choose love? And we always have that choice. And the moment that we choose love, we are protected from evil thoughts, from evil ponderings, from evil, because our mind, and people tell me this all the time, Amy, I have anxiety issues. I have anxiety. And I said, no, I'm having an anxiety attack. No, you're not. There's no such thing. Anxiety isn't tangible. It isn't attacking you. And I can promise you the things you were pondering on before you had that attack is going to be the crux of why you are feeling the panic. And it's a lot of times it's subconscious. If your core belief statement says the rug gets pulled out from me all the time, well, then guess what? The rug's going to get pulled out from you every time.
Right.
And we have to fight for our emotional freedom. We have to fight for that freedom. We have to fight to stay in peace, love, joy, and believing that the glass is always full and I get to drink from a full glass all the time. And listen, I was the most negative person, the most critical. I would have jumped up. Listen, I would have waited for a moment to be in a bathroom stall to hear something that I could use against you to get to the next rung on that ladder.
Wow.
That's who I was.
And it changed significantly.
Oh, yes. Oh, had to. Had to.
Yeah, after the death of your children, and which, by the way, my condolences to you, because I think that's very necessary. Now, Amy, you're the author of Dreams, A Window into Your Destiny, How to Talk to the Unchurched and dream symbols. Tell our audience where they can get it and how they can speak to you, find out all the things they need to know. Do you have a website?
Well,
go ahead.
I do. It's amycoello.com, and it's COELLO, amycoello.com. And you can find me on Facebook. You cannot friend me on my personal page because I've got 5,000 people, but you can definitely friend me on my public page. And there is where you will find where I'm at across the United States. I speak all over, and you can find me there. You can also find my show on kingdomflame.com. If you go to kingdomflame.com, you can subscribe there, and you will find the show where I just go through dream after dream after dream, and I teach people how it's done.
Oh, how interesting. Now, there is one more, well, actually a couple more questions I want to ask you, and that is that if you were to tell our audience who you admire the most, who would that be?
I would have to say that I admire Jesus the most. He walked in love, didn't put up with people's crap, and he spoke truth at all costs.
Mm-hmm. And also, if people wanted to experience dream, your ability to understand their dreams, should they have to go to the place where you're presenting, or can they do that by phone? How do they do that?
You can, if you have a dream and you need me, you'd like to have a consultation with me, you can go to my website. And also we are starting this, we're actually launching, we've been doing it, but we're actually going to go public with it. We are launching a dream circle where you can pay for the training. It's going to be a paid mentorship program, and on a secret, we have a secret group on Facebook, and we do our admin team is there. We go through colors, transportation, numbers. What is all that? Why do I keep seeing 11:11 on my clock? Why do I see 1, 2, 3, 4 on my clock? Why do I see we go through all of that, all of the different experiences that you just ponder and question. And what does red mean in a dream? What does a car mean in a dream? What does a garage mean in a dream? We go through all of that. And so if you just watch our Facebook page and watch my website, that comes on the 15th of July, I believe. We launched that July 15th. And we also are going to have a school. You can also request me. If you go on to the site, you can request me. If I'm in your town or in your area, request me. And our team, one of our team members, will come and present Eyes to See. And we will also do a training where we get dream circles. We do dream circles where it can be 10 people or it can be 100, 300 people. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
We come out, we send a team member out, and we train you. It's our passion. We've got 30 people on our team that's dying to come out and teach people this.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, I always like to give my guests the last word, and knowing you, Amy, in the short time that we've been doing this, I think you probably have a lot to say. So if you were to tell our audience something that you feel is very important, what would that be?
Walk in love, choose love, and seek after your destiny. There's more. There's so much more than what you're experiencing right now. You cannot exhaust the love of God, and you cannot exhaust the revelation that is being presented to you in that spirit-to-spirit communication. So if you are unsatisfied, if you are anxious, if you are seeking and you just don't understand and you need clarity, seek.
Well, those are very inspiring words. My guest today has been Amy Coello. Amy is the author of Dreams, A Window into Your Destiny, How to Talk to the Unchurched, and Dream Symbols. Amy, where are you going to be next? So let our audience know where they can find you next, or go to see you or some of your dream counselors.
Yes, I will actually be in Dallas. I'm heading there tomorrow, I believe. So I will be in Dallas. I'm in Dallas and New Orleans a lot, and we will be filming it and live. We'll be putting it in our school or on. We have a school that's launching. It's called Company of Oracles. And so we'll be live streaming every event. So just watch my Facebook, and you will be able to figure out where I'm at. You can join live or join virtually.
Wow, that's great. Well, my guest today, as I said, is Amy Coello, and I think that she's been a wonderful guest. And I'd like to invite you back, Amy, to talk about some of the things that you're doing now, and tell us more about what's in the future and what you really think is very important for our audience. Thank you, Amy Coello, for being on the Susan Brender Show.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
Thank you for listening to the Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.